I want to address Elon Musk. I think his next resolution should be that they should name their next child either Colin or Samantha.
I admire Musk for what he's achieved as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that he's in danger of turning into just a really shit Bond villain.
You can do 50 things before you're 50. That's
what I'll call it.
Yeah.
I'm just not calling it a bucket list because that implies that I'm going to
kick the bucket,
spontaneously combust on my 50th birthday, which I don't intend on doing.
No.
Or it would be quite quite dramatic on the podcast,
especially for recording at the time.
Exactly.
Although it'd never go out because I wouldn't know how to edit it and how to broadcast it. So it'd be forever just stuck on here.
No one would ever see it anyway.
Can you describe it for anybody who is deaf or blind?
I can't describe it for anyone who's deaf, Baz. That's beyond my capabilities on an audio podcast.
Mate, this is an afternoon podcast and I'm still fucked it up.
Hello, and welcome to the first mildly controversial podcast of 2024. It appears that this one is a special dual knitwear edition, Baz.
Yeah.
Because for those listening, we're both wearing quite chunky knitwear.
Yes.
Which is, we're recording this in the afternoon. So yeah, a lot of stuff we'll be saying will be about what's going to happen, but by the time you hear this, will have happened. So that's quite a confusing thing for me, if nobody else. But yeah, it's the afternoon. I don't have a beer. I've got a massive mug of latte macchiato, caramel latte macchiato.
I'm unsurprisingly on the rum at 1:30 in the afternoon. So.
Good man. I mean, I do have a beer fridge immediately to my right, so I'm not writing off completely.
Yeah.
Once the latte macchiato has gone, but maybe this is what the podcast of the future is for us, Baz. Maybe this is what 2024 podcasts are about for us. Just two old men sat in chunky knitwear, drinking coffee in the afternoon. I don't like the sound of that, do you, Baz? Oh, shit, he's gone. And on that bombshell. I can't carry on without him. He's resigned live on air.
That's too scary to imagine, to be fair.
Oh, Jesus. Even as I was saying it, Baz, it fucking terrified me.
I was a little bit like, what's he on about? This is not what I signed up for.
This definitely is. Look, to be honest, I'm loving this. It's a really thick, kind of chunky knit hoodie. Again, painting pictures with words, ladies and gentlemen.
Go and see us visually. That's what you need to do.
Yes. Get over to facebook.com/mildlypod and have a look.
Well, so mine's literally before we crack on is when I couldn't find my Christmas jumpers. I forgot I had two. So when I was clearing out some stuff the other day, I found this one, and I thought, do you know what? I need to. Otherwise, it won't get another outing until next year. So
do you know what? I like it a lot, and do you know what? It's a whilst it is a Christmas jumper per se in the genre of Christmas jumpers, it's not overly Christmassy. It's more kind of it's stars and stuff. From what I can see from here, it's clearly like Marvel themed, but it's stars and stuff, which is as New Year. Oh,
go on, do it again. One more time.
It's as New Year-y as it is Christmassy. There we go.
Well done. You're not even drinking.
Oh, jeez. Maybe that's the problem, Baz. Maybe that's what I need to do. So once I've finished
you find this out, literally your tongue doesn't work as well unless it's got alcohol behind it.
What a terrifying thought, but would be unsurprising.
Yes.
Maybe once I've finished the caramel latte macchiato.
Yeah.
Which apparently I can say without alcohol.
Yeah.
I'll nip onto a beer after that. And also, Baz, as well, which is very unusual preparation for me for the podcast, is I've just been kneading bagels.
With a K-N-E-A-D.
Yes. I always need bagels.
I was going to say, it'd be really weird. My announcer is, I've been kneading bagels. Come on, again, I just sat here kneading them.
I'm in cravings.
So one of the things for 2023 is that you made your first bagels, didn't you?
I did make my first bagels, and I made my daughter a bagel that was bought from M&S, and they're very, very good.
Yeah.
But she says she misses my cinnamon ones, so she's got to work, and as a surprise, when she gets back, there will be some nice, freshly baked cinnamon bagels made by my own fair hands.
Lovely.
Indeed.
Like cut this if you like, but so what's significant about the dough that goes into a bagel?
The only difference is that they are boiled before they're baked.
All right, okay.
So that you boil them, which means that the gluten, I think, comes out of the flour, and that's why they're a little bit harder on the outside than bread is, bagels. Because that's what happened, because you boil them for a minute each side before you put them in the oven.
So this is
fuck. We need to move on, Baz. We're not drinking. We're wearing knitwear, and now we're giving fucking bacon advice. We need to move on.
Education at its finest.
Ladies and gentlemen, we promise you this is not what 2024 mildly controversial podcast is going to look like. Okay, we do apologise. I apologise on behalf of the podcast. Let's crack on.
Yes.
So, 2024. New Year's a bit of a funny thing, isn't it? I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
I celebrate it every year. But it is a bit of a funny thing, isn't it? Because it's an arbitrary line in the sand that we've all decided to put there.
Yeah.
Based on a calendar that isn't even observed all the way around the world.
Yeah,
and we just go, right, well, we're gonna get all melancholy about what happened this year, which we already did, by the way, which is out. The review of the year 2023 is out now. And then you kind of go, right, what am I going to do next year? When it was just like yesterday and today, really.
Yeah. Well, isn't it kind of new year, new me? And loads of people like refer to that. And like, you couldn't do that every year of your life, because like you'd end up going around in a big circle and being the cock you started as. So
absolutely, yeah. Which ultimately, the more New Year's I go through, the more that is likely to happen, Baz. I am gradually returning to the cock I once was.
Yay!
Hey,
no, but it is a thing. I can't remember. At some point in my life, I much more enjoyed New Year's than Christmas. This goes back to the Christmas edition, when I was saying that when I was younger, I didn't really like Christmas, so I'd look forward to New Year because it was just another time when people were just a bit more friendly, and and that was it. But to be fair, since COVID, New Year's has sort of taken a bit of a back seat now. I'm more likely to stay at home than I ever was before.
And is that what you've got planned for 3 days ago?
Yes, for 3 days ago, I will have. Is
that what you're planning to do 3 days ago?
Yes,
Baz?
that's it. Yes. So no, we're actually going to go to a house party, which is not really a house party; it's just a bit of a gathering. It will be very low key. To me, it used to be going into town, going to a pub or a big sort of like pre-organised party and spending the evening there, and then trying to stay out for as late as possible. But these days, it's like, all right, thanks everybody. Good, happy New Year. I'm off to bed.
Well, I mean, ours have been like that recently. The odd party and the odd kind of staying in.
Yeah.
When the kids were young, pretty much, because obviously the kids go to bed early when they're young. But now the kids that live with me are just short of 14 and 16 years old.
Yep.
One of them's going to be working up until 11 o'clock anyway.
Yeah.
So we're all heading to the golf club where one of them works.
Yeah, right.
So Molly is going to be working, I think, from like 1 o'clock till 11 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
And we're going to take her a change of clothes. So we'll be in there from 8:30, having a set meal and drinks and all that.
Yeah.
Which quite probably she will be bringing to our table as the waitress.
Oh,
which
okay.
is a bit weird.
She doesn't dive for lake balls, then. That's not.
No, that's not her job. So then at 11 o'clock we'll take a change of clothing, and she'll go from being staff to punter.
Oh, right,
at 11,
yeah.
I think that's the plan.
That'd be
anyway,
difficult. It must be weird going out. I've never done it. I've never, apart from in the bar, but I've never gone out to like a restaurant or a place of food where I've worked and then sort of gone, as you say, gone from worker to punter.
Yeah, well, I think we're sitting down for the meal at 8:30, so
Yeah.
I presume that's gonna that'll be done by the time, I don't know, or close to being done by the time she's finished.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have it'll just be sitting around in a bar having drinks by that point.
Nice. Sounds perfect.
Which is marvellous. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to
Sorry, sounded perfect.
it. So, yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, I say that, we're recording this on the 29th of December, so there is a risk by me saying that my New Year was brilliant. Now, by the 3rd of January, when you're all listening to this, there's a risk that me and my wife have split up. And I've just said that New Year's Eve was brilliant. And it sounds then like I think New Year's Eve was brilliant because me and my wife split up on New Year's Eve.
Oh, does that mean we can record like some alternative bits to slot in? Should it all go wrong?
Oh, well, imagine that. Like, we record loads of alternative endings, and nobody knows what it's going to be.
Let's do one each anyway. Go on. We should do it.
Okay, so we've got that one, right?
Yep.
That one's in the bag.
Yeah, and I was at a house party, so that's okay.
So how was your New Year, Baz?
I was amazing. I literally got drunk, stole a car, drove into London because I've missed going out partying. I got arrested by the police, but they let me go because they said it's admissible on New Year's Eve, and so they lent me a car and I drove it home. It was a really good night. I got back about 4 a.m.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't do it all the time, obviously.
No, exactly. And yeah, but that's amazing. Wow. What a night you had, Baz.
I know, and it wasn't planned, just literally happened. Liz isn't too happy because I've lost my licence now, and I'm going to prison for about 6 months. But yeah, it's fine. But yours.
So if you want to audition for the co-host of the mildly controversial podcast for the next 6 months, while Baz is inside,
what would the audition be? Just sitting like a post.
It's not the highest bar to get over. Well, my New Year. Ironically, we're going to have to audition for another member for 6 months because I ran away to join the circus.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're looking for 2 new hosts for the mildly controversial podcast because for the next 6 months, I will be touring Bratislava and Baz will be in prison.
Yeah, there you go.
Well done, Baz. Right, I'll just put whatever one of them, like whichever one of those happens, I'll edit it in. So that's good. I mean, it would take a while to do all the possible combinations of what's actually going to happen in 2 days' time. But let's just gamble on one of those two will happen. All right, cool.
Right, good.
All right. So looking forward to 2024 then. I just wanted to do a little bit about the podcast because we did in the review of 2023, we did a little summation of how 2023 had gone, and in summary, bonkers.
Yes.
We keep moaning about the podcast, so sometimes in a jokey way.
Yeah.
But the growth and the success of the podcast over 2023 was quite incredible.
I mean, I think it's fair to say there are times when you and I would both rather be doing something different, on certain nights of the year, not all of them, obviously. Yep. But so it can impinge on your life, as I think other podcasters would know. But in general, it's pretty good because more and more people are listening. And
yeah. And I've said this before, Baz, that if you and I lived in the same town and went out for a few drinks occasionally, on a regular basis, we probably still wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Or we probably wouldn't still be doing this because it's our opportunity to have a drink and a chat with each other, which we would probably do in person if we lived closer. So that's why we do it. Anyway,
yes.
The reason I mention that is because my first goal for the podcast is to repeat the growth of last year, which was, drum roll, our podcast, in terms of number of downloads, grew 827% last year.
Wow.
So let's do that again, Baz. Let's have the podcast this time next year. Let's sit here and say that it's 9 times bigger than it was last year.
Cool. Okay.
That's the first one.
We could do that.
And I think other things that I'm going to say now will kind of be byproducts of that happening. So we're going to make that happen. That's the first thing that's going to happen.
Yep.
And everybody, you can help by sharing and by you're telling everybody you know how much you enjoy this. Just throw it on your social media and things like that. So every time we post something, share it, retweet, or retweet. We don't even tweet. And post whatever we do, but post it on Twitter because we can't be asked. That's the one. I think as byproducts of that success that everybody will have helped us achieve in 2024, one thing is that guests will chase us instead of the other way around.
Yep.
Which will be like, we'll have people saying, can I come on your podcast?
That'd be nice.
Instead of us going, can you come on our podcast? So that's number one.
Yep.
And the second one is the same with sponsors. Sponsors will be going, we really want to sponsor your podcast, instead of us chasing sponsors.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I don't know by the time this goes out if we will have got the sponsors yet, but I only announced it in the one that is going out in 2 or 3 days. So I'm very confused. Anyway, if you would like to sponsor this podcast, if you would like to sponsor an episode of the podcast, it's 30 quid a month. to sponsor one episode a month, and we will regularly mention you as a sponsor throughout the episode. So if you want your name checked, or if you want somebody else's name checked, or if you want to promote a business or a charity or anything like that, or, as I said on the 2023 review, if you just want us to say sponsored by, then a sentence that makes us seem ridiculous, then, if you've got 30 quid a month, do it. Anyway.
So basically we're selling our souls.
Absolutely. I'm not selling our souls. You might be. Many thanks. Thank you very much for the tee up of that brilliantly feeble joke. And the other thing that will come from all the success and the sponsors' money coming in is that we will be able to spend money promoting it, so it will get even bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I can hire an editor and a social media manager to do all the bits that I can't be arsed.
Super.
Hey!
Which means we'll have loads more time to record podcasts.
There you go. So that's
14 a day we're going to do.
Those are the goals. Those are the goals for 2024 for the Mildly Controversial podcast.
You'll be doing a podcast every single day by the time 2025 comes around.
Well, let's not write it off, Baz. I do need to say at this point that we're 15 minutes into recording, and the combination of drinking a hot coffee and me wearing a ludicrously warm chunky knitted hoodie means I'm sweating my tits off right now, Baz. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this. But I mean, you never know. It might be the start of my 2024 drop some body weight thing.
Yes,
I'm effectively in a sauna suit.
Thermogenesis live on the podcast.
There you go.
Right,
so,
what are we doing then?
I think what we'll do is we're going to talk New Year's resolutions. I'm not a massive one for New Year's resolutions, but
neither am I.
For the sake of the theme of the show, I think what we'll do, we will go through a number of things that we're going to try and achieve in 2024 individually, but also we're going to come up with mildly controversial New Year's resolutions for other people.
Yeah. A lot of other people need them, don't they?
Absolutely. A lot of people need them more than we do, Baz.
Yes.
But we'll do us and we'll do other people. So I'm going to kick off, Baz, with one that sounds quite flippant, but I'm deadly serious about. I'm going to try and achieve this in 2024.
Go on, then.
Okay. The first thing I'm putting on my New Year's resolutions list, Baz, is to check that there's bog roll before I go for a shit.
See, this is weird because I've been doing this for a lot. So one of the reasons I do it, before you come on to the reasons why you do, is I use a lot of public toilets at events.
Right.
So I use a lot of like portaloos and little sort of like event hall toilets, and you have to check all those every time you go in because I've been caught out once.
Right,
that's all you ever need,
and you don't want to be. But I mean, I've never been caught out in a public place like that. But I often, and this is not new news to regular listeners, that I'm proudly a sit down weir.
Yep.
So sometimes I'll sit down for a 1 and it'll turn into a 3, which is a 1 + 2.
Yes.
Right. So you don't have that conscious thing of going in if you're going in not intending to defecate.
Yeah.
Then you don't consciously look for the paper. And I've been caught out, I don't mind saying, a couple of times, which is nothing more than just a quick text to the missus to leave some out the front of the, outside the bathroom door.
Well, she don't bring it in?
And waddle. No, because the door's locked.
Okay.
So it'll be, and then just waddle with me, trousers round my ankles, over to the tea. But, I mean, so it's not the end of the world, but you would have thought after 49 years of probably, I mean, let's not count the first one, that was my mum's responsibility, or maybe the first 2, but I'll call it 47 years of it being my responsibility. You would have thought by now I would have figured out that just have a little check before you go in, just in case. Right. So that's one of the things I'm going to do. Believe it or not, Baz, I think that is the biggest area of self-improvement that I'm going to achieve in 2024.
Well, it sounds infinitely doable. So, and what you do, put massive posters in your toilets, just going, remember the bog paper.
on top, I'm gonna write that in Sharpie.
Yes.
On the toilet seat.
Yeah, there's that.
And not on the toilet seat, on the lid of the toilet.
Yeah, and also you put note where you put your phone down as you drop your kecks, can't you? So you
exactly.
Post-it notes all over the house.
Like Memento.
Yes, be tattooed in a week.
Because I'm that forgetful. I've had to write it in Sharpie across everything, leave post-it notes everywhere, and tattoo it on the inside of my own eyelids. So every time I blink, I get reminded.
Well, look, so mine follow a similar theme in terms of remembering to do stuff, because as you pointed out on more than one occasion, I'm getting on a bit, and so my memory genuinely is getting worse. So a lot of my things, as we were saying before, are getting around to reminding yourself to do stuff, because that's what the biggest thing is.
Yeah.
So my first one is I'm going to try and remember where I put my car keys every time I come into the house. It's getting so bad, honestly. It never used to be an issue, and there are times now where I'm just going out, and I go to the place where I thought I put them, and I'm like, shit, they're not there. And obviously moving to a newer house now, which is much bigger, there are lots more random places.
Lots more places to lose them.
So, yeah, I found them in the kitchen behind the toaster. I found them in the bedroom, on the bed. I found them like in the toilet, because I've obviously got in there and put them down when I go to the toilet. But very rarely to find them where I thought I was going to leave them, which is on the dining room table in the hall.
Where they should be.
The most obvious place.
Yeah. I'm all right. I leave my keys 90% of the time. Mine are exactly where I leave them, which is just on the stairs.
Yeah.
But one thing I will, I could offer you a gift.
Go on.
Not an actual gift. I'm not going to buy it for you, Baz. I'm not that generous.
What do you got?
But a gift is we have Apple AirTags.
Oh, right. Okay, yes.
£100 for 4 of them.
Yep.
We've got one on each dog and one on each set of keys.
Right, yes.
If you lose your keys, you can either get it to make a little noise.
Yep.
So you can find it just by using your phone. Or if you don't hear it, you're too far away, there's a GPS thing that shows you where it is. And when you get close, it does a little hotter and colder thing. So it says you're 20 meters away. Nope, 24, 25, 20, and you go around and it tells you exactly where they are. So that, my friend, would be a very, very wise investment of £100 of your money.
So you might be able to clear up this then. So my friend Gareth uses AirTags on his keys. So when we're working together, at some point, that AirTag communicates with my phone to let me know where he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's like you can put something on there which is to allow people to sort of join you or whatever.
Okay.
But so what happens with that is, like, I get back from working with him and it shows me exactly where his route that we've been on for the last sort of 3 days, which is bizarre. I'm like, oh, that's really odd. But then you have to tell it not to keep tracking these AirTags.
I think he can tell that as well.
Yeah.
He can set that up.
Yeah. But
I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't know. Maybe everybody I hang around with knows exactly where I am at all times.
He's in the toilet again.
Frankly, that might be handy. If somebody hasn't seen me for a while, they might come and find me on the toilet crying because I neglected to check if there was any toilet paper before I started.
And you've got to lose another sock.
Not done a sock before. I've done trying to fashion something thin enough that resembles paper out of the cardboard tube.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I've tried that before, but
yeah.
No. I'm a changed man this year, Baz. As of now,
brilliant.
I'm going to check every time.
Right, so this is going to be the constant question every time we do a podcast now is, have you remembered to put toilet paper in the toilet?
Have you been caught out?
Yeah, yes. How many socks? How many socks and bits of cardboard have you used this year? Right. What else changing in 2024 this year?
Do you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to alternate. So I'm going to go to a suggested resolution for somebody else, Baz.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Joey Barton.
Oh, shit, I've got him as well.
Have you?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have a shared one here.
Yeah, so Joey Barton, just stop being a fucking idiot,
yes.
right? I mean, I will go into more detail, but the top line is that.
Yeah.
Because those who don't know who Joey Barton is, he was a vaguely successcul footballer. He played
short period of time, wasn't it?
Yeah, he played in the Premier League, all right? But, he wasn't... that he was more famous for his antics.
Yeah.
So hitting people on the pitch, off the pitch, going to prison for a bit.
And his brother as well, who's a murderer.
Yeah. So there was. Yeah. So he was more famous for those sort of things than actually his achievements on the pitch. But at the moment, for those that don't know, at the moment he's kind of taking it upon himself, just to basically slag off women's football.
Yeah.
And his whole argument is, if the England men's team played the England's women's team, they would beat them 40-0.
Yeah.
Which is, well, yeah, because men's football has been a professional sport for, decades.
Yep.
It's only just become a professional sport in women's football.
Yeah.
And also, clearly, men are stronger, more powerful, quicker, as well as more skillful because they've been playing the game for longer.
Yeah.
So it's such a fucking nonsensical argument. But what he's doing is he's clearly, because he's a failed football manager, because he keeps kicking off and punching people.
Isn't he currently out of a job? Isn't he?
Yeah, he's. Well, I think this is the point. I think he's given up on that now, and he clearly can't be a pundit because all he's doing at the moment is slanging off all the women pundits. So no media outlet would touch him at the moment, and he's basically just going, "Oh, that Alex Scott, she knows fuck all about football."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She played women's football and women's football's shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what? He'd actually have a better argument if he just said she's never played professional football. Because I think she retired before it became a professional sport.
Yeah.
And if he just said that, he might actually have a few more people go, yeah, you got a point. You wouldn't have anybody else who hadn't played professional football being an expert in the professional football, would you?
It is funny how you and I both selected him because he's probably the most prevalent knobhead around at the minute.
He is the most recent, biggest bellend.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Well, I've written down Joey Barton's New Year's resolution is to manage the England ladies team.
Fucking hell, that would be funny.
He'd die, basically.
That would be funny. Do you know what? Joey Barton's New Year's resolution should be successful at something before you slag people off for not knowing much about what you're not successful at.
Or are successful in their chosen sort of realm.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like him having an opinion on tennis players, isn't it, to be fair?
But it's also it's kind of his argument is that women's football is nothing like men's football.
Yeah.
So women can't be experts at men's football.
Yeah.
But by the same token, if we're willing to say, okay, Joey, you've got a point. All right then, Joey, you shut the fuck up about women's football because it's a completely different sport.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways, pal.
Yeah, and also, you stop talking about professional football because you're shit at that.
Exactly. You can't slag women ex-football, female ex-footballers off for not knowing about men's football because it's a completely different sport.
Yeah.
Then slag off women's football for being shit because you were an ex-professional men's footballer. So if they're different sports and they're nothing like each other, then just shut the fuck up about it, sunshine.
I'm just making a note on here. Joey Barton not to be a guest on the mildly controversial podcast. I've written it off.
Well, do you know
when he comes calling.
When he comes calling, we will say no, sir.
Yeah.
Or we'll just get him on and just rinse him.
Yeah.
And just expose him for being the dickhead that he is. But to be honest, it's kind of a... he is the current embodiment of something that's... It's kind of a worrying trend in that it's a way for semi-famous people to become ultra-famous or to garner huge followings.
Yep.
Which they're doing for financial gain, undoubtedly.
Yep.
But as something more sinister... that comes from it because he hashtags everything tokenism.
Oh, is that what he does?
Yeah. So he's hashtagging tokenism now because he's saying that women are only pundits for football because they have to tick a box and they have to get a woman in. But then that goes further than that. Without saying it, although he has said a few things, but without saying it, his followers and everybody in the chat section starts to talk about black people.
Yeah.
Starts to talk about lesbians.
Yeah.
And gays and things like so it's getting this hot basically just by being a cock.
Yep.
To get more followers and get the financial benefits of those more followers, he's becoming a beacon of bigotry.
Yeah.
So there is whilst we're being quite blasé about it and just saying, he's a cock, stop being a cock, mate. It is quite dangerous because you get people like him, like Andrew Tate, like Russell Brand, and all of those people have done exactly the same thing to varying different degrees. And Joey Barton has obviously just seen that and said, look, I can't get a job as a manager because I'm not very good at it. I can't get a job as a pundit because I don't really know what I'm talking about, and I'm a bit of a cock.
Yep.
So what is my career going
next
forward from
venture
here?
is being
And he's
a-
gone,
yeah.
do you know what? I could just slag off women's football.
Yeah.
And then I'll get a load of racist, homophobic, bigoted people
Yep.
to follow me and make a load of money out of those boys like these other people have done.
Yeah, it's a bit like with them straying too far from the next thing. It's a bit like, is it Lawrence Fox who literally started off saying one or two things about he
It's
didn't
exactly
like.
the same thing.
He's a failed actor, and now he's just a failed news presenter and podcaster, isn't he? So
Yeah, and that's it. He's just he's the antithesis of what we are.
yeah. 100%.
And that's what we said this in the review of 2023. We call ourselves the Mildly Controversial Podcast because we deliberately avoid stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we want a big following. We want to make loads of money out of this, and that's it.
Yeah.
But we want to do it by being
Mildly
genuinely nice guys, hopefully entertaining, sponsored by chunky knitwear manufacturers, that kind of thing. But not by being a dick.
Because our hashtag would be #gift token.
Gift tokenism.
Yes. All we need to do is hand out the love as opposed to fucking treat people like they're tokens.
Exactly. And it just, I think it's, so we're the antithesis of that. So, yeah, undoubtedly we could have more followers, more listeners, more downloads, everything, and be more financially successful at doing this if we were both a bit more of a cunt.
Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right.
But we don't want to be.
I
right?
find, look, you and I both can be. We proved this, like, just, even when we met, or, at times when you just, like, so we'll talk off air sometimes and deliberately Mike will say something really controversial just to kind of, like, those guys that sort of, like, they're primers, they fluff it, get the audience going at the start of stuff.
Yes.
So there's a couple of times, like, we'll say stuff which we know would never ever say on here, and it is genuine. Like, it's a bit Ricky Gervais. It's comedy, so it's funny.
Yes.
But then half the time we get on here afterwards, and we're like really apologetic for being like even remotely fucking controversial, which is fine with me because I'm not. We could be. We could literally just, you and I could say lots of controversial stuff and then take this to a different level. But
Yeah.
it's I'd hate all that stuff. I'd hate to be followed by those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do. Because there was nothing... one of the proudest moments in this in the last year for me was a comment on when we did a YouTube... Well, we did a conspiracy theory special.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And there was a comment on the YouTube. Someone said... Oh, this is the lamest thing. It's like, you're pussies. You don't have a strong opinion about this, that, and the other. And I was like, brilliant.
Yes.
Because you're exactly the person we don't want to attract.
Yeah,
so jog on, you prick.
You've literally just read our synopsis and put it back to us.
Brilliant. Right, well, that's Joey Barton told, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's a cock, so good. I'll do a person one. I want to address Elon Musk because obviously, like we mentioned him in the last couple of days with X, formerly Twitter. Actually, it's just Twitter. I think his next resolution should be that his and what's his partner's name? Is it Grimes? Grimes,
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
They should name their next child either Colin or Samantha. That's what the resolution should be.
Tremendous.
Give them a normal name. Because
Yeah.
like one of the things that was really prevalent this year was the naming of their child,
Yeah.
which they've called XAI R12 or something like that.
But look, it was less of a name and more of a serial number for
Yes.
a Kenwood chef.
Yes.
And just stop being a dick. And that's the whole reason he changed the name from Twitter to X, because he likes the letter X.
Yes.
That's why everything's like SpaceX and,
Yes.
And all that. You're
Yes.
just like, oh, well done.
Look, I kind of, in a small way, I admire the fact that, like, I mean, officially he is self-made. He's not inherited billions of dollars and then lost it. So he's genuinely built an empire. He's like formed Tesla car, which is like the sort of forerunner of the electric vehicle. In its masses. He's doing the thing with Starlink, giving internet capabilities to people that don't need to buy it off from cable anymore. He's doing all that stuff. But he names his child fucking it's like it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you're kind of a revered man, and you've just made yourself look like a fucking bellend by doing something so stupid.
I admire Musk for what he's achieved as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that he's in danger of turning into just a really shit Bond villain. Where he's not inherently evil. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't think he's inherently evil, but he's just got billions of pounds, and he's just going, fuck it, I'll do that over there. I don't care. I just say, I think he's just, he's a combination of a shit Bond villain and Cyril Sneer.
You've literally caught me with the Bond villain thing, because you're right. It's like he'd have like metal things that would go back in his lair, wouldn't he? You're supposed to have sharks underneath, but he would have like inflatables or kittens or some shit like that, because it's just not. We should get him on the podcast. It'd be amazing.
I think.
When he asks,
I think if we ask him, he'll come on.
Yeah,
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Well, no, actually, if he asks us, we'll allow him to come on now, or rather than Joe Barton would bin him off. So yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
So Elon Musk in. I've put that down here.
Yeah, put him down. Guests for 2024: Joey Barton Cross, Elon Musk.
Yeah, we'll allow him in just because it'd be interesting.
Excellent. Right, my next one is something I think I might actually do. So this one's a serious one, as opposed to
I might do this one.
frivolous bullshit just for the sake of a podcast. This is my 50th year.
Of course, yes.
So my 50th birthday is in September.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do. I'm going to write. I was going to call it. It's not really a bucket list, because I think you have to die, or certainly be dying, for a bucket list.
Oh no, it's changed. So you could do 50 things before you're 50. That's
what I'll call it. I'm just not calling it a bucket list, because that implies that I'm going to
kick the bucket,
spontaneously combust on my 50th birthday, which I don't intend on doing.
No.
Although it would be quite quite dramatic on the podcast,
especially recording it at the time.
Exactly.
Although it'd never go out, because I wouldn't know how to edit it and how to broadcast it. So it'd be forever just stuck on here.
No one would ever see it anyway. Well, we'll have to make sure that we've employed an editor before I spontaneously combust on the podcast.
Right, sorry, I interrupted you again.
It's your job, Baz. And yeah, just for anyone who's wondering, I've gone on to the beer now, because I've had enough coffee.
So from this point on, the podcast is going to get a bit more. I was about to say a bit more, but the only word I can think of is it's going to get a bit more better. Sorry about my poor English.
Well, Baz's illustration of how much better this podcast is going to get now I've started to have a drink was to pause, stumble his words, and then say it's going to get a bit more better. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen.
I've just changed one of my New Year's resolutions. Like, stop talking. That's what I'm
So yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know if it's going to be 50 things, but I've decided I'm going to say yes to more stuff this year, because I said no to. Have you got that on your list?
Fuck me, yes. It's the next one. How is that?
That's mad.
You can tell because.
Well, there you go. You see, because I said no to a lot of stuff last year, and sometimes it is finance based, because I just couldn't afford to do what I wanted to do like that this year. But I also just I didn't seek or take as many opportunities as I should have done.
You're talking for both of us, by the way, so carry on. Yes,
yeah. So I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna apply to be on every fucking TV show that I can see. I am registered with an extras agency, but I'm always too busy, or it's a bit too far away. I'm going to stop making excuses for that, and I'm going to do more of that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come over to England more often. I'm going to do more things, like when we had the get-togethers in London. Haven't been to one of them yet, but I'm going to make sure I am at as many as I can be, if not all. So just do more stuff. Do more stuff.
So weird. Hey, look, so I literally wrote this. Try and say yes to more things. Last time I swore I'd say no to more stuff, and you literally came out with exactly the same thing. No, so I agree. It's
So you're going to try the opposite this year?
No, yeah. So basically, last year, like you, I said I wasn't going to do as much stuff, because basically I'd say yes to something and then trying my best to find an excuse at the last minute to not go. Whereas this year I said, look, I'm going to say yes and actually go to the things.
Yeah.
Because I've done a bit more of it this year, but it is so important, because, like, particularly after COVID, and particularly in sort of being, because you're quite remote and I'm quite remote now, it's very easy to go, yeah, no, I'll come, and then like 2 days before you're like, oh, it means I've got to have a shower. I've got to get prepped to talk to people, and that's
Yeah.
usually the hardest thing when you've been remote for a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird that you did the same thing.
And that's the thing. But like you just said there, a couple of things that I empathise with.
Yeah.
That I mean, they're not real reasons not to do something, are they?
No.
Have a shower and have to talk to humans.
Yeah.
But I do the same thing. I'm like, oh well, I could go out, but do you know, man? I've got to have a shower, change
exactly
my clothes, and then I'm going to have to smile and engage with other humans. So it's like, fucking hell, you idiot! They're good things.
I was going to say, because clearly, like, you've done it and you like doing it. I do it and I like doing it. But it's just times you're like, isn't it much easier just to stay at home, put a blanket over your legs and, and watch a bit of telly? When actually, then the next day you're like...
There's plenty of time for that, Baz. There's plenty of time when Liz farms you off into a home. Right?
Yes.
We can do that. And now's not the time for that, Baz.
Yeah. Well, so Liz has got to say every time that, that like, I've said, oh, look, I'm away again this weekend doing some stuff. And she says, there's plenty of time for sitting on the sofa later, which is literally what you just said.
There you go. Exactly.
There you go. So
brilliant.
That's kicked off 2-in-1 again.
I'd look at it. I tell you something, Baz. I've noticed that 2024, this podcast has got far more efficient than it used to be because we're coming up with the same stuff independently, and it's just streamlining it. It's making the episode shorter, and it's meaning that my editing job is easier. So we've made an amazing start to 2024 so far, Baz.
I am worried though, because obviously, like this sort of continuation of age-related stuff continues with me. So I'm worried that one day the podcast will look like this. Like, not me there, just an empty chair, because I've forgotten to turn up.
It hasn't happened yet.
But do you know what I mean? There'll be a thing where like, well, I'll carry on till Baz arrives, and then be like, and it'll be the best episode ever, because like being like, well, it quiet without that dude on the other side. Just
see, do you know what, Baz? When you said it'll be like this, and you disappeared off screen, I was like, oh, that's sad, isn't it? Baz is talking about when he's dead, and we carry on. We carry on with an empty seat.
I've literally forgot.
But it's but yeah, I can make it clear to you and everybody listening now that when Baz dies, we're not stopping. We'll just carry on with probably someone better, to be honest.
Look, there's things called cutouts. You can put in the background just as an homage if you want to be nice. You can get that dummy thing or the little puppet up there.
There you go. Yeah, we can. My mannequin's head there.
Yeah.
I'll take the mullet wig off it and put glasses and a beard on it instead.
Right, whose turn is that? So, this is my turn next, isn't it?
Yeah, because you keep stealing mine. So come up with something of your own.
Right, okay, look. Age-related thing again. I've got much, much worse than this in the last couple of years, and particularly this year was the worst. I'm going to do my best to try and remember people's names when they tell me what their names are. I've got so bad at it. So you go to and I've got a trait where, like, for many years, I'll walk into a room and the first thing I'll say to somebody who I'm talking to, what's your name? And then they'll tell me, and then I'll tell me that. Then I'll tell them my name, and we'll have an immediate bond. And then I'm sitting there in my brain, the voice inside's going, "Shit, what did you just say? What did you just say his name was? What's his name? He just told me his name. What's his name?" And then, so I need to start either having a system, or because there are ways you can remember stuff, aren't there?
Yeah. I'm sure if you went online, there would be like a little course or a book or something that will teach you how to do it, because there are techniques.
Yeah.
But Baz, I'm the same, but mine's not age related. I've always been terrible with names. Eddie Izzard does this sketch about when he's getting introduced to new people, and it was like, and he tries really hard to be like, "Oh, this is Susan." Be like, "Susan," and it just drops out of his. It goes in one ear and drops out, and then he like the other one, and he does that, and then at the end of being introduced to loads of people, he turns around, there's loads of names on the floor. It's like, "Oh shit, who's?"
I don't know about you, but I also struggle with certain words that I can never remember the word for something now, and it always tends to be the same thing, because so I commit myself to saying, right, I will remember the word for this. I've got it now, and then because you don't use that word for that particular situation or a feeling or something every day, when it comes to you like, oh shit, I've forgotten it again. It's like
so if I was to say, give us an example of that, is that impossible to do because you can't remember them?
Yes, it literally is. But I've genuinely cracked 2 of them this year in terms of like work-related stuff that I can't remember. And now when I'm trying to, I think when you start to search it, I'm like, no. What's the thing I'll never forget? I'll never remember. Sorry. And now I can't remember what it is. So.
To be honest, Baz, it is quite a tough question.
Yeah,
what is the thing you never remember?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who you're asking that question to. That has got to be one of the toughest questions you'll ever be asked.
Here's one. Impact drill.
Okay.
There you go. I've just remembered it. Usually I'm going, it's a rattler, it's a torque, it's a what does it do? It's a rattling. Because I use it to, take nuts off a Harris fence, like for bolts. Yes.
Yeah.
So many times I've sat there and gone, it's a drill, and then someone goes, impact. Yeah, that's an impact. There you go. That's the one I've actually got over this year. I've managed to remember that it's called an impact drill. Really dull as fuck.
I'm very proud of you.
That's one of them.
Very proud of you, Baz.
And it's not even an exciting word, is it? Shit, the bit.
I don't know, Baz. Do you know what? Here's a quick one, Baz.
Yep.
People who clap to deaf people.
Okay.
Have you seen this thing where they do kind of jazz hands instead of clapping?
Yeah.
Stop it. It's completely fucking unnecessary.
Right, okay.
They're deaf, not blind. They can see you clapping. Just because they can't hear you clapping,
Oh my God.
it doesn't mean they don't know you're clapping.
What a good point.
If there's a deaf person on stage and they do a show, lots of people will do this kind of jazz hands thing.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what you do. Clap, smile, stand up, give them a standing ovation with all the existing currency of showing appreciation and gratitude and of what they've just done.
Shit.
You don't need to invent something just because they can't hear your hands hitting together.
That makes, complete sense, what you just said. That's such a weird thing. Because clapping is also a visual thing, right?
It's not like it has always been this jazz hands thing.
Yeah.
And to a blind person, you've had to invent one where you hit your hands together so they make a noise so the blind person can appreciate it. It's not that way round. It's the other way round. We're saying that here we go. And I remember seeing it on Deal or No Deal. There was a deaf woman on Deal or No Deal, right?
Yeah.
And every time, a little kind of the blue box came out, or a blue number came out, instead of going, hey, everyone went,
Yeah.
and that's going to mean nothing on the audio one, by the way. But that's my point.
But actually, can you describe it for anybody who is deaf or blind?
So it's like I can't describe it. I can't describe it for anyone who's deaf. That's beyond my capabilities on an audio podcast.
Mate, this is an afternoon podcast, and I'm still fucked it up.
So yeah, it is. Jazz hands is as descriptive as I can be.
Yeah.
So it's or you're doing a royal wave with both hands. There you go. But yeah, it's just I don't understand why it was invented. Because like I say, when it was on Deal or No Deal, the deaf lady, somebody would reveal a blue number, and everyone would do this jazz hands thing that was facing her. The people behind did normal clapping, because she couldn't see. It was like, well, why don't the people in front of her do normal clapping? Because they can still see that. She can still see their hands going to. She's not going to go. The fuck are they doing with their hands?
Yeah, because the people behind were clapping completely pointlessly because you can't even hear it.
They were clapping for the benefit of everybody else and the atmosphere for the TV show. But it was I genuinely don't understand why that thing was invented.
Right, can you boil this into the resolution then? Because, what's their resolution?
The resolution is, let's stop this jazz hands thing. Because it's been invented for completely unnecessary reasons to be more accessible. Do you know? It's been brought in for accessibility reasons, but doesn't need to because the people are deaf, not blind.
Yeah.
So removing a sound from something for somebody who's deaf is ridiculous because they can't hear the difference between the two anyway.
Right. So this one here, your opinion needs a head explosion emoji. It's it makes so much sense, doesn't it? It's ridiculous. Why? So what you're saying is why isn't the signing for clapping just clapping with the sound removed?
Like I say, it's not like you're coming up with something for if there's a blind performer such as I forget his name, but I've already demonstrated I'm shit at remembering people's names.
Stevie Wonder.
But there's a stand-up comedian. Stand-up comedian, Scouser.
Yeah, right? Gregory or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know, but when he's on stage, it's not like the sign for applause has always been waving your hands, and we've had to go, oh, he won't see that, So let's hit our hands together to make a noise so he can hear it.
Yes.
That's not what's happened. I could understand it if it was that way round, but it's not. It's the other way round. We're going, oh, that deaf person won't be able to hear our hands hitting together. So let's do something with our hands that doesn't make a noise that they can't hear. Makes no fucking sense. I don't get it, mate. So yeah, that's the one thing is stop doing the jazz hands thing. Everybody in the world, stop doing the jazz hands thing because it's fucking ridiculous. It makes no sense.
I'm going to go for this one. Donald Trump, his New Year's resolution is to create an actual aftershave called Limburger. So are you aware of this?
No.
So I've read this recently.
Fill me in.
I thought it was brilliant. So one of the sort of like the childish spats that's going on politically in America at the minute is some people have suggested that Donald Trump smells.
Okay.
And someone's actually suggested that he smells like a thing called a Limburger, which is a type of food which is really stinks. So I want his New Year's resolution to come out with an aftershave which is called Limburger and smells like a Limburger.
Oh, but it'd have to come in a bottle with a really small top because he's only got tiny hands as well, apparently.
But I think the highlight of this is this how the political sort of like landscape in America has got now to go, you smell. It's literally a reason not to vote for somebody.
I think it has, Baz. And do you know what? It's funny as well when Trump slags off Biden because him Sleepy Joe because he's really old. He's about 3 years older than you fucking cretin.
Well, in fairness, he is a lot more decrepit than said Mr. Trump, I think.
But he is like literally like 3 or 4 years older. To have a two-party system is nuts. Okay, and I know essentially there is a two-party system in the UK. But you know what I mean. Yeah. There are other options. It's just no one goes for it. So when it's a two-party, and more importantly, a two-person system,
two-personality thing.
It's a two-personality thing for who you're voting for as president. And it's like, okay, so we've got this guy over here who is, I might get the ages slightly wrong, but you got, who should we bring in for the next 4 years? Well, you got this guy over here who's 77, and you got this guy over here who's 81. It's like, can we not find anybody in a country of 400 million people?
Yeah, or more.
Can we not find two younger, more dynamic, more better for the future people than these two fucking old boys? It doesn't matter which side of the political divide you fall on. It's fucking ridiculous. At no point, I'm pretty confident to say that there are no MP. In the House of Lords, there's loads of old people because you get that job forever till you die. I'm pretty sure there's nobody anywhere close to those ages in even as a member of Parliament, let alone as Prime Minister. I mean, our Prime Minister's he's mid-40s, isn't he?
Yeah, but
that makes more sense.
Yeah, but even Boris was like 60, was he, or something like that?
I don't think he's that old.
Yeah, so he's still 50.
I think he's his 50s. But I mean, there have been old ones in the past. I mean, we've had some Pitt the Younger.
Yeah,
that was a good while ago. That even you don't remember that, Baz.
I was around then as well.
Oh no, he was like 19 or something. But yeah, I don't understand the vote for this old guy or this old guy. And cross your fingers that he lives for another 4 years.
Well, look, so just while we're on that subject, so I'm 56, and I still think I'm too old to be a political leader in a country where the predominant, I think someone should be 44 and younger to be political head of a country.
Yeah, that's the only thing that stopped you becoming Prime Minister.
I'm too old.
Because you think, well, I would, but I think I'm probably a bit too old.
That's it, yeah. and we've discussed many times, you and I are fairly progressive for a man of 49 and a man of 56, but I still think that I'm starting to do that thing now where I kind of go, so how does that work? That's the worst thing ever, man. Seriously, I've got my grandson going, right, Grandad, I can show you how to do this. Oh, okay, come around on Tuesday and I'll pay you. I'm like, fucking hell, I've just done the Grandad.
Imagine that. Imagine 20 years on running one of the most powerful countries in the world.
Mate, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? It'd be ridiculous, isn't it? I'm asking your grandson, can you show me where the red button is so I don't press it?
So there you go. So I think that resolution, as the suggestion for Donald Trump's resolution, has gone from bringing out an aftershave
called Limburger,
because it smells of the food that you're alleged to smell of, into somebody needs in the States needs to it needs to change the Constitution.
Yes.
To suggest that you can't have the job if you're in your late 70s.
So this is the resolution for all Americans. Your resolution for 2024 is to get better leaders or options for leaders. There you go.
Or just younger ones. They don't even need to be better. Yeah. He can come on.
And Donald Trump, I'm putting down as a yes as well because he'd be
Donald Trump. Yes, just so we can ask him how his fragrance is going on.
I've excluded Joe Biden though because imagine having to guess he just sleeps all the way through it. So.
I think you're crediting Donald Trump with far more faculties than I think he actually has in comparison to Joe Biden. I'm going to talk in general now about resolutions. People need to set more realistic New Year's resolutions, because if you're setting the same New Year's resolution you set last year,
yep,
you either don't want it enough, or it wasn't achievable.
Yep.
So you need to scale it back a bit.
Yep.
So if your resolution is to drop some body weight,
yep,
if your resolution was that last year, you've built it up to be something bigger than it is, or you didn't want it enough.
Yep.
And people always, again, as a fitness professional, it's like people always say, I really want to drop body weight, I really want to drop body weight. And 6 months they're saying the same thing. It's not hard to do, because if we're talking in years like we are now, if you drop a pound a week, you'll be 52 pounds lighter. That's quick maths for you, Baz.
Well done.
But you'll be 52 pounds lighter this time next year. So it's not like it's not difficult.
Yep.
It's just people either say, I really want this, when they don't. They're quite comfortable where they are, or they're comfortable being uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
They're okay with being uncomfortable about their body weight.
Yep.
Don't set yourself up for failure with a New Year's resolution. Either don't make them at all, or make them achievable, or have a varying, have a list of them. Have some dead easy stuff. Perhaps like remembering to check that the toilet paper exists before you go for a poo.
Or someone's name.
So put some easy stuff on there, because there's nothing better than writing a list of things and ticking them off.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Good point, yeah, I like that.
So that shows that you're achieving something. So set yourself stuff you can achieve. Set yourself some big things. Like I set myself, one of the things I set just before was for this podcast to grow at 850% or whatever again next year.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a tough one to do. But I'll set another load of things along the way.
Oh, you do realise by the end of January I'm stopping that because we won't have got there, don't you?
I said, we'll never do it. We'll never do it.
Yeah,
now.
fuck it. It's not worked so far. I've been every day. It's not happening. I'm pretty low target setting anyway. So, drinking water every day shouldn't be like a fucking target, should it?
Yeah.
But it is, right?
Just to drink at some point.
Yeah.
See, when you set yourself a target in January, Baz, of drinking water every day, and then by February you're going, well, the main ingredient in Diet Coke that I have with my rum is water.
It's crazy though, isn't it? I mean, this is how stupid life is. It's like saying I'm going to have even setting a target saying I'm going to have a glass of water every day for the rest of the year should be so easy. And yet I can't remember the last time, even now, sitting here talking to you, the last time I had a glass of water.
But see, this is the thing that people do with New Year's resolutions, Baz. It's because it's New Year, and we're setting these just false lines in the sand of saying this is the start of something new, and 365 days in the future is the end of this new thing.
Yes.
Yours should be, don't set yourself New Year's resolutions.
Yep.
Set yourself fortnightly resolutions.
Yep.
So set yourself the target of having that glass of water every day for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then when you achieve that one, go, right, 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then go to 4 weeks, and then go to 5 weeks. Because what a lot of people do, a lot of people will say, right, I'm going to achieve this year. And then by the end of January, like, oh, shit, that didn't like. So people might say, I'm not going to drink for a year. And then by the end of January, they're like, oh, I really want to drink. So they'll have a drink. And they'll go, all right, I'll try again in 11 months.
Yes.
Like, fucking hell, mate. Have another go now. Try again.
You're quite right. This is literally the sort of best conversation that you could have with somebody. Like, say, short-term goals or achievable stuff in the short term. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not suggesting that. So the only real resolution I've set myself in the last 5 years was to learn how to do a handstand, and I did that in 2021, and I went and did it on a day. So it's not difficult, right?
That's what you need.
Yeah.
That's what you need, Baz. You need more.
Yes.
You need more New Year's resolutions you can crack on day one and then fucking forget about for the next 364 days.
I think I've used drink water, stretch, eat a vegetable every now and again, get a good night's sleep as things that you should not set as resolutions. But sometimes it's just maybe it's just that thing where you kind of go, look, it's a reset point.
Yeah.
Let's not do it so that next year, if I fail, to start at that point. As you said, maybe my resolution.
Do it for a week.
Yeah, there you go.
Do it for a week. When you've done it for a week, do it for 2.
I'll put a tick next to that.
There you
you go. So look, I'll next time we do a podcast, I'll let you know how I'm getting on. If I'm tired and dry.
So, ladies and gentlemen, don't miss next week's podcast where you'll find out if Baz has managed to drink 1 glass of water every day for a week. And on that bombshell, we will leave it there for another week because I can't wait until next week's podcast to find out if Baz has indeed had 1 glass of water. And if you are sat at home wondering if you've set yourself some resolutions which are a little bit too easy to achieve, let Baz be your beacon and let Baz be your inspiration for the fact that he's vowed to drink 1 glass of water for a week.
I'm not saying another word now. Finished. Thanks very much for everybody for being here.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.